All right, here's a nice pitch from our most recent LPGA winner. Golf can be really fun and rewarding. Right, here's Jordan Spieth. During this video, I want you to pay close attention to stance width, size of swing, and relationship of swing. And then, most importantly, for what you've heard, head movement. So here you're going to see your head release really early. Okay, arms are soft in the finish. Here's Jordan again. Look at it, his head comes up before he even makes contact. Okay, here's Scotty Scheffler, world number one. Just use, kind of watch his head relative to and see the width of his stance. The face is open, but watch his head relative to the background. So up instantly, right? There is no head down stuff. One of the cool things about golf is it will take you to places like this, right? It'll give you a reason to go to places that you wouldn't otherwise go. This is in Utah. Really cool place. I would have never guessed how awesome this is, and this is called Black Rock. Really, really neat place. Okay, so stance width, really narrow. Sorry for the fuzziness, had to get into there. Now here we go, stance width wide. Look at length of backswing, high, low, face still stays up to the sky. That'll be the things that a couple of things that we're talking about. Here's again, I think they're going to get close up of her feet. Stance width, very narrow, right? Generally, the closer we are to our landing, the closer our feet are together, unless the slope dictates otherwise. Like if I need to not fall down, right, I might need a little bit wider stance to control that. I might also widen to get my feet to, or my shoulders to kind of match the slope a little bit more. Again, very narrow stance. This is kind of a long lob shot. Arms are soft, eyes release instantly. Again, that is no good short game player. Keeps their head down. And although you've heard that probably 1,000 times from family, friends, coworkers, it's just wrong, unfortunately. And I tell everybody that they used to think the world was flat, right? So it's possible that it's wrong. And the intention of that statement is something else. So as you become more aware and create the ability to land your ball where you want, you get to start to utilize slope, understand the dynamics of the green and what you can use to contain your ball closer to the hole or just even contain it on the green. That'll be like the thing that we want the most. So this is the same hole. She's in a different angle, not the best angle. So angles that you play in your approach shots, once you have an understanding of the green complex, well, then you can put yourself hopefully in a better position to make your next shot easier. So she's still going to use this back slope, aims way to the left, away from the flag. She's not hitting towards the flag because she's got to understand how that slope is going to affect her golf ball. And it turns into a makeable putt. Okay, so again, stance narrow. This is just an awesome shot. You'll see the spin, really from that distance can stop that ball. So this now is about process, right? So she's taking relief, knowing the rules, very important. Walking up, getting a good idea of where she wants to land this ball, how it's going to roll into the hole. That's her intention, right? And then she's going to rehearse her practice swings, and we'll see some different approaches to this when and where the practice swings happen. Okay, so for her, she's taken her very narrow stance, right? Size of the swing is pretty small, rhythmical. Eyes are really focusing way more on the landing than the golf ball. I see most amateurs are looking at the ball more and very rarely looking at their target. Definitely not enough. Okay, here's the 18th hole. She has a 5-stroke lead. And this is about process. Again, okay, so she's inspected the lie. You have a good lie, you have more options. You have a bad lie, you're going to need more loft typically. You're going to have to swing harder from a bad lie. So she's walking up, checking out her landing spot. She's looking at her playing partner to see who's away. She's going to do this a couple times. There it is again. She's going to look back again and doesn't quite get her attention to see when it's her time of play. Now, while she's doing this, the other players are going through their process. They're already starting to do the analysis, right? They don't wait until it's their turn. And we can do this in a pretty timely fashion, right? We can get into our shot while the others are doing theirs. Whoever's away is going to typically go first, but whoever's ready should be hitting first, right? So, pulls her club, comes back behind, establishes her line of play. She's going to take some rehearsal swings. I don't love that she takes them looking down. She's probably pretty scared. I mean, she's going to win a tournament here. But see, she did her practice swings and then comes back, relines up, puts the club down behind the ball, looks at the target, going to look at the target again, sets up, and then sends it. The timing of the best players, they do that routine to the second all the time. Okay, so here again, where she's going to be walking up, and Yin is going to be, she's probably already taken her practice swings right now, getting comfortable, waiting for her to mark her golf ball, so that as soon as she's back out of the way, she's ready to hit. So doing what is necessary, right, to prepare for the shot. There's a time to do it. Being ready to go when it's your turn is pretty important. So you want to not miss any of those details on, what's the green going to do to my golf ball? How's it going to react? She hits a high, soft shot out of that long, long grass. Almost makes it again. And then here's the other person that's in the group, right? There's 3 people. So the first person took the most time getting ready to hit because she's the furthest away. Now the other people, she's not chipping this. She's putting it from off the green, which is an option. And, something that you're going to see here coming up about some choices that could be really helpful. So from several feet, putting is generally your go-to. First rule in chipping is putt it if you can. Okay, so here's some bloopers to make everybody feel better. These are the best players in the world. Right underneath the golf ball. This is one of the top players from Europe playing in the Women's Open in Scotland. And she duffs it completely. And you'll see a scan on how far she actually was from her landing. She didn't even hit that a quarter of the way. Here's one of our favorites, Lexi Thompson. Not loving the routine. See how she's keeping her head down? She very rarely does not look at the target enough. And then her head will go down. Knees go down, and then she... Okay, now, on this, even the commentators say that his head looked up early. Listen. Watch his head to a background. Down at impact. The head came up quickly, he says. Absolutely 100% false. There's one-time world number 1, right now number 2, Rory McIlroy, in a tournament. Talking to himself again. Okay, here's one of the top amateur players of the time, just out of college. Total shank. Hits it off the edge of the club and the ball goes sideways. This guy is known to have one of the best short games in the world, and he just whiffed it. So his club hit the rock on the downswing, redirected it, so it came totally out. And he's afraid to do it again, and then sculls it across the green into the water. Best short game. He's known as having the best short game. Amazing. Here it is a little bit. You can see just slightly the redirect right there. And that will happen in trees sometimes, so you got to be careful of those branches. He may have wanted to use one of these other choices that you'll see here too. Here's one of our local guys, Kid Rock, shanking it right into the cup.
never understood standing in front of a
Yeah,
non-pro.
never stand in front of an amateur.
That the tour pros use to meet women in the gallery.
Oh, okay.
Louis Oosthuizen, one of the best players in the world.
Um,
Grass direction, the grain of the grass.
into the grain.
There's a guy trying to get a little too creative, going left-handed. This just happened to be a clip on the Golf Channel one morning. I said, oh man, I got to share this.
Top of the club. Oh, yeah. It's interesting.
And then this was world number one at the time, and just a full swing shot. And I don't even know how this happens. It's pretty amazing. But sometimes golf is puzzling. Okay, so being creative, this is what the other guy next to the rock might have needed to do. Would have been a better choice. So experimenting. Turns out to be good. He gets it to a makeable spot. Here's Jordan Spieth. Watch how high this ball goes. This is at the Ryder Cup a few years ago. Amazing shot, and then he almost eats it running into the water. And then sometimes putting with a putter is not necessarily the best option. Here's Justin Rose using a fairway wood. Here's just your standard chip shot from the rough. High-low swing. Almost cans it to win the tournament. Here's one of my old students. She's not old. She's still playing at Western Michigan. Mega Valbrini. Playing at an LPGA event at Midland. So I just happened to turn on the TV. I know she was playing in the event, and then there she was instantly. Okay, so practice. Hitting multiple balls to different locations. Practicing out of the bunker would be good. A lot of people choose not to do that. There is one here that we'll show you today. But again, looking at technique, feet close. Arms are soft in that finish. See how they bend in? The club head or the handle is almost touching his hip when he finishes here. Nice rhythm. There's a few more. The reason that I show Tiger, everybody knows who Tiger is. He was one of the best short game players of all time. So again, feet close, that allows the body to pivot better, right? You'll notice too how fast his head comes up and around, and their eyes are tracking. They're picking up all the information, right? So watch how fast his head comes up and picks up the ball in flight. There's no way there's any intention of keeping that head down, right? So they're going to experience with different lies. This is a different day. He's wearing a different outfit. High-low. Head comes up. The toe of the club, the face is starting a little bit more open. That allows the toe to look up to the sky in the backswing, and the face stays up in the finish. So the high-low backswing to through swing is pretty typical. That's a basic pitch shot. Okay, basic chip shot. Here's kind of a cool look of a bunker shot. You can see how much that face stays open. Let me see if I can get that. This one's got a little bit more release to it, but knocks it in. You can do it too. Here comes Jordan Spieth, one of the best bunker players I think that is out. And see, one of the things he does here, he sets up his stance, then he walks back out, kind of rehearsed a little bit. You can also see where he's lined up, which is pretty cool. I haven't picked that up before. High-low, face stayed up. Almost holds it, which he does routinely. This was an ad that I saw that I thought was really interesting. And I'm seeing how quickly his eyes released and his head came up, and how open they were. A lot of us actually close our eyes through impact. But the way that the eyes released was pretty interesting. And one of the most important pieces of knowledge in golf, especially in your full swing shots, but is that the club hits the ball and then enters the ground. It doesn't have to take earth, but it's ball first, then turf. and that helps you hit it more solid, and hopefully it helps you also move better. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in a couple hours.